the governor's office just get raises?
Yeah, I didn't think those were well stated remarks, but you know, I've known Deanna for a long time. She's a good friend. The bottom line is I've cut the governor's budget 35%. No other state constitutional officer matches that. The legislature chose not to cut their budget at all. And I think it's important to have a governor who's not only cut the budget as governor, but also as lieutenant governor and as treasurer. I cut the budget. The bottom line for taxpayers is how much you're spending on the office.
Yeah, you supporting her for re-election?
Of course, I've known Deanna, and I know her late husband and dear friend for many years. You know, in politics, you know, I'm used to this. You know, people say things. You know, just got to keep moving on. What I care about is certainly fighting for veterans. I think nobody who's been governor of Illinois has done a better job for veterans than I have. Today I signed 2 bills that Senator Deanna DiMuzio sponsored. One of them has to do with taking care of veterans who have post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury. These are the signature injuries of the 2 wars we're in. We cannot let those veterans down when they come home. They oftentimes have been very traumatic situations. Roadside bombs, improvised explosive devices, and we got to help them out. And the bill today I signed is designed to do that.
Governor, of the raises that went to your staff, well over a third of them were not connected to any promotion or change in job title. Can you explain those and why you approved them?
Well, basically, I have less staff members working for the governor's office than my predecessor. We have a lower overall budget for the governor's office. I think when I took office, it was $7.1 million. It's now $4.6 million for the governor's office. I've done that in previous jobs, state treasurer, lieutenant governor. I do it as governor. I think that's the bottom line for taxpayers. Reduce the budget of the office. The individuals who work there, I have a veteran who's the director of the budget department. He had a job on my staff. When there was a vacancy for the budget department, I told him he was going to do that. It's a different assignment, had different pay, different responsibilities. I think he's doing a good job. But when you have a person, in his case, he went to West Point. He was a lieutenant there, jumped out of airplanes for his country. However, he was not a general. When you become a general, you have a different job, a different assignment, you have different pay. So I think you have to understand that when you have a staff, I had to reorganize the staff of the governor's office. Some of the people I inherited, they departed. Other people came in. Other people who were there, I changed their assignments. And I have to do that all the time in order to keep our state moving forward.
But the question was about those who did not give new jobs or new assignments.
Well, you know, based on their performance or their assignments that they were given, I think it's important to have a staff. I have a leaner staff, less people, and I also have a staff that works hard. They also believe in the principle of integrity. I'm an honest governor, and I run an honest government. We had a lot of work to do to clean up the government. I think, principle that I follow with respect to the offices that I've held is to try and cut the budget of the agency. I've been able to do that elsewhere, and I've done that as a governor's office, and I will continue to do that. The budget is not a one-day exercise. We will exercise economy throughout this coming fiscal year. Despite all the hardship we've had, I was able in the budget that I've presented to maintain our education aid, or general aid for schools in Illinois. Today, this coming year, will be the same as it was last year. It won't be cut. We're not cutting early childhood. We're not cutting special education. We're maintaining our investments in those important educational areas. We're not cutting our scholarship programs for students. And so I have to, as governor, find ways to get economy in government with an emphasis on maintaining education, health care, and public safety.
But I'm sorry, I didn't understand. The ones who did not have new duties and who did not get a promotion, why did they get a
When you
raise?
say new duties, when
your-
someone, how do you know that they don't have new duties?
Your office didn't
Yeah.
tell us they
Well-
did. Your office gave us a list. Some of them had promotion, some of them had new title, some of them just had adjusted salary.
Yeah,
So
because
why
they
did
may
you
have a
adjust the
different,
salary?
they may have a different assignment from the governor's office to carry out. With respect to the budget director, David Vaught, who served honorably in our military, a veteran, I think he may be the first veteran in a long time to be the budget director. He was on my staff as a senior advisor. When there was a vacancy as budget director, I appointed him to that position. And that had a different pay and a different responsibility. He was responsible for overseeing a number of people. I did not replace him on my staff. I didn't do that. I may have had another person on the staff take up some of his previous duties, and that may account for their reassignment. But the bottom line is, and I think it's important that you recognize this, that other constitutional officers have not cut their budget in this fiscal year. Matter of fact, the legislature, I was told by legislative leaders, they were going to not include that in the Emergency Powers Act of the budget, of the, for the governor, for the budget, that they would be exempt from any kind of cuts. And I felt that our office, the governor's office, should have cuts. And I myself have cut my pay. I believe in taking furloughs for myself and my staff, including the budget director. We take furloughs. We have reduced the expenses of the office. And I would say that there are those who are in government who voted against reducing their own pay, voted against any kind of furloughs for themselves, voted against expenses, any kind of reduction in expenses for themselves. Well, I've done all that, and I think that's quite a difference from others who are in government.
Yeah, aren't people throughout your state agencies doing more to make up for the people that have left, and yet they're not getting raises? Should they feel upset because of what happened?
A number of people in the state government have, had their compensation changed. In some cases, there are departments where you have individuals who are under a collective bargaining agreement, and that's been negotiated prior to my arrival. We are grateful for concessions that we received. We're, unlike the city of Chicago, we got the AFSCME union to agree to have furloughs. A number of people volunteered for that, and they've taken furloughs. And we have to do that on a regular basis. They've also made some concessions in their contract. I inherited that contract. I think that it's important in state government to cut the budget. I have cut the budget $3 billion, more than any other governor in Illinois history. I do believe you have to have honest men and women of competence to carry out the duties of government, including some very serious duties, and you have to maintain those people on the government in order to get the job done for the public. Now, in the case of the budget director, he was reassigned from being on my staff to being director of an agency. It's like taking a lieutenant in the military and giving him general responsibilities. Well, when you're a general, you have different duties and you have different compensation.
Governor, what do you say to people who are calling for wage freezes in state government?
Well, yeah, I have a collective bargaining agreement with thousands of employees who work for the Illinois state government. That's a contract, and you have to abide by the contract. You can try and negotiate it or renegotiate it. We have done that, and we have received concessions from the union. We're grateful to the employees for doing that. But you can't just unilaterally impose something on a collective bargaining agreement. And also, I think the bottom line should be how you cut the overall budget of the government. I think that's a much more effective way of delivering for taxpayers, cutting the overall budget. I want to point out the governor's office budget is down. I've cut the budget, and I will continue to cut it, and I will look at it on a regular basis. I think that's what the taxpayers need. I think it's important in all the discussion about pay raises and such to understand that cutting the overall budget of an agency is the best way to help the most taxpayers.
Now,